Food for thought. Was this all we wanted? Was everything that we worked for a culmination of our end result? Sometimes it's bittersweet when you feel like you're on top of the world and you want to just celebrate. Celebrate so big, so loudly, so confidently because you've done it. That you've achieved your goals and everything that you've been wanting this entire time. But then you kind of have to look back and think about how far you've come. And then now that feeling of what's next is daunting. And when we feel that, it feels stressful because we're into the unknown. And sometimes we just feel like we're in that weird in-between. That same in-between that we felt before. Of, what are we doing? Because in the midst of everything, we have changed so much. And we have grown so much. And yet, we're still the same, but different. And I think the hardest thing to accept is that when we feel like we don't belong, when we feel like we are stranded, when we feel like we don't have a place in this environment, we make one. And it becomes our new home. And it becomes our new habit. And it becomes safe and it becomes normal. And we have our expectations of what we have to do. And when we no longer have that, and when time is up, it becomes stressful, it becomes different, it becomes a new habit, a new routine. And that's scary at times. And it's daunting and it's heavy because for as long as we have been working towards this goal, we've been moving forward and forward and forward. And in the midst of it, it's awful and it's terrible and it's heavy and it's so difficult. And it feels like it'll never end because it feels so true and so raw and so deep and so new. But then as we heal, we see that it does come to an end. Everything passes and everything comes to an end, whether it's good or bad. And that is one of the hardest things to accept because for every great moment that we have and for every great moment that we share with others, it'll pass. And it always does. And that is one of the hardest things to realize. Because when we feel like it never ends, when we feel like it's just the end of our world, it's only the beginning of something new, of you becoming a different person. And we all have different stages in our lives. We all have different stages in which that we're going to change. And sometimes it feels like, what was this all for? But we know deep down, it has helped us grow. It has helped us change, and it has helped us become the person that we will become. And it's hard not to grasp onto old habits, and it's hard not to do X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, we have to be that new person. And when we are no longer in that environment in which we became that new person, it's hard. It's hard to figure out who you are because you're so accustomed to being this one person. And then when you go to a different environment, who are you? You're new. You feel new, but you're into that old place and that old environment that you were. But you have all these new skill sets. And that's where you have to use those new skill sets that you learned. And you have to implement them. And you have to continue. And you have to trust. And you have to be uncomfortable in a different way that you're not used to being uncomfortable. Because sometimes moving is hard. Moving is so difficult because you make yourself a home in your new place. You have decorations, you have things that you love, you have things that really make your day even better. And they are a part of you forever. They really are. And sometimes that's hard to let go of from the perspective of that being your normalcy, your normality. But at the same time, you have to let go. And we can't hold on to things too tightly. And we have to remember that in these days that we feel really heavy, in the days that we feel very in the unknown, those are the moments when you are knowing the most. Because those are the days that you're figuring it out. And when you look back and think about how far you've come, you have to just take it all in. You have to take deep breaths, and you have to realize that this journey wasn't easy, and that you should feel a sigh of relief, that you no longer have to be in the mindset of scarcity. Deep breaths, and then letting out all that stress, because you have been through a lot, and every single thing that you've learned has been a challenge. But this new part of your life is also going to be a challenge in a different way. And you will figure it out. And you just need to trust in the process that you will. Because you always do. It always comes about whether a fail or a success, or neither are a learning or a winning opportunity. You figure it out one way or the other. And so I want you to be kind to yourself. And to know that whatever happens, happens. And that you should always just be there for yourself. Because so many times I think you can put yourself at the bottom of the totem pole to get things done and to be productive enough. But I want you just this once to take care of yourself and to feel all your emotions during this change, and to realize that whatever happens, happens, and that you will figure it all out. Food for thought.